Sunbin was born in a happy family. One day, she saw her father was beaten to death under the order of a rich family. When he tried to protect his own company, Sunbin wanted to revenge for her father. The rich family was supported by a powerful politician. A lawyer named Eun Pyong wanted to help her. However, his power wasn't enough to take the rich family down. He even lost his job when trying to bring her justice. After their suit was lost, the lawyer sent Sunbin abroad. To protect her from being hunted, he gave a new identity. Seeing her enemy on the screen at the airport, Lee Real remembered the evil smile of the enemy at the hospital on the day her father passed away. She promised herself to revenge on them. From then on, Sunbin disappeared. Even her mother didn't know where she was. 13 years went by. Lawyer Eun Pyong became a member of parliament. One day, he received a package from America. Opening the box, he saw many rolls of money and a note. That was Sunbin, who were ready for her revenge, getting back what she lost. Sunbin arrived at a nursery school. This was the first day her daughter went to school. The other parents were complaining because they weren't allowed to get in, while a politician was visiting the school. Lee Lyle got out of her for a check. The enemy who obsessed her for the last 13 years was there. His laugh was like a sharp knife cutting her heart. The pain woke her up, and she saw the son-in-law of the rich family. When their eyes touched, they knew it was time for revenge. To approach a man in the rich family, the only way is to make him fall in love. The politician became the president of South Korea with the most cruel expedient. On the first day of school, Sunbin danced in a sparkling dress. The president's son-in-law was enchanted by her. He always felt that she kept her eyes on him, couldn't take his eyes off her dance. He felt hotter and hotter inside. Hearing the women behind him praised her body's curves, he turned to look at his boring wife. Already, he felt hot all over. When the performance was over, Sunbin appeared under the beautiful lights. She made the sheep's eyes at Kang Yoonjayam, and even dropped her bracelet on purpose. Yoonjayam and his wife were only husband and wife on paper. How could he get away from her allure? He picked up the bracelet and followed her. In front of the makeup room, he could see her making out with her husband through a gap of the door. This was the first step in her revenge plan. After a love-making, she got out of the makeup room. Her husband came towards Yoonjayam and greeted him. She looked like she didn't see him earlier. When Yoonjayam picked up the glass of wine, she touched his hand, which made him overcharged with emotion. During the parent meeting in the morning, Lee Lyle put a backpack next to Damri's leg. Soare always looked down on Damri, so that Damri, Sejayam's wife, was extremely discontent with Soare. Picking up the backpack, Damri found a diaper. The name tag said the backpack belonged to Soare's daughter. She had a reason to mock at them. Does it belong to Dubai? What to do? It was like a slap on Soare's face. As the wife of the richest man in Korea, how could she withstand it? Dubai went crazy. She scratched the boy who teased her. Soare's bodyguards broke in as soon as they heard the noise. As a noble, Damri waged a war on Soare. Lyle was laughing inside, because it was on her plan. Everything was going on as she planned. Soare and Damri wouldn't give way to one another. Soare requested to expel Damri's son from the school. And Damri asked for Soare's apology. It was a hard problem for the dean and she didn't want to offend anyone. In this case, Lyle gave the dean a hand. She said there was a way to resolve the conflict between them, a talk with Soare's husband. Soon, Yoonjayam came to the school. When he saw her, he remembered her love-making with her husband on the first day of school. He was distracted, yet he still agreed to apologize to Damri. Next, she talked about his daughter studying. It was the first time Yoonjayam picked up her daughter on purpose of giving Lyle the bracelet she dropped at the party. Lyle happily said it was the last gift from her late father. After thanking him, she clumsily put it on her wrist. As she was struggling to fasten the bracelet, he helped her out. He got an electric jolt to the body when touching her skin, and remembered her touch at the party. Lyle was very calm because she knew he already fell for her. A young guy with his sexy body was being lectured by Soare. Because his little touch made her dissatisfied, she smashed the glass of wine in anger. He was like a toy for her. Soare became so uncomfortable because her husband didn't love her. The bodyguard knew his place and endured her temper. Before leaving, she warned him not to tell anyone about them. At home, Soare asked her husband why he picked Dubai up from school, which was the secretary's daily duty. Yoonjayam blamed her for not staying with Dubai's side when needed. Soare said sorry to Dubai, then lulled her daughter to sleep. Again, Yoonjayam came to pick up his daughter. When his bodyguard took her to the air, he had a talk with Lyle. Turning the head right, he saw a musical instrument. He felt amazed because it was rare in Korea. Just a few people can play it. Yoonjayam really loved the sound of the instrument. Lyle said she knew how to play it. Obviously, she learned to play it for him. Closing the eyes, he enjoyed the music. When he opened his eyes, Lyle asked him for a dance. She said the song name was The Forgotten Memory. It talked about a beggar who put on the king's clothes. He lost his memories, so he considered himself a king for the whole life. The message advised men to forget himself and find their desires. Tango is a dance requires close connection and passion between dancers. Their hearts rubbed and felt each other. Yoonjayam was indulged in the dance with Lyle. He forgot himself, the richest man in Korea. He felt like he was an artist falling in love. Coming home, he seemed to lose his mind. He hugged his wife tight but imagined she was Lyle. Lyle came to a secret room. The wall was filled with surveillance monitors and photos. It was her careful preparation of revenge. Lyle held the photo of Yoonjayam. He completely fell for her. Soare told her bodyguard, "My husband made love to me for the last 10 years. Her husband was cold to her." The bodyguard who satisfied her so far was treated like trash. As she wasn't really satisfied with her husband's love-making, she came to the spa. After taking care of her skin, she asked her secretary to make an appointment with a gynecologist. The secretary thought she wanted to have a gynecological visit. Soare was angry because her secretary didn't know about female cosmetic genital surgery. The secretary said sorry and learned about it. At home, Soare at her 40s got ready with a sexy sleepwear. She asked the housemaid to prepare something fun. Tonight, she would make her husband as happy as a king. Soare came to Yoonjayam's home office and turned on the music. She told him to have a bath and go to bed. His eyes expressed how unwilling he was, because he imagined that Soare was Lyle the previous day. Alone in the room with a glass of wine, the woman dancing on the screen was the one who moved his heart. Wrestling with his conscience for a while, he finally decided to invite her to his home party. Lyle was very happy. She couldn't wait to own his heart. Her husband thanked her for helping him get Yoonjayam's appreciation, without knowing that she was trying to cuckold him, on the day of the party. Lyle appeared in a beautiful yellow dress. Yoonjayam couldn't take his eyes off her, whom he missed night after night. As her husband and his wife were also there, he tried to hold himself back. Playing a game, 3 of them were all in. Yoonjayam had 2 ace cards. Everyone thought Lyle would give up. One more time, she could conquer him. Her cards surprised everyone. Yoonjayam received a call when he felt a fondness welling up in him. Earlier, a young beautiful girl who tried to approach him was hit by a car. He realized the coming danger. Lyle wanted to play the song she wrote by herself for him. She also teased him. She told him, when we danced together, she could feel how empty he was when they touched and he needed her to fill it. Hearing her love confession, he kept a distance from her. It was because of his father-in-law, and he knew she was approaching him on purpose. "I sense danger from you." It was an extremely unstable feeling. "I don't have any feelings for you. And I don't approach me again." To revenge for her father, Lyle didn't give up. She turned around and told him, "If you can sense the danger, I can feel a man." Again, Yoonjayam struggled with himself. Coming back to the party, she saw the one who hit her father to death. The scene of her father's death flooded back in her mind, clearly before her eyes, but because she did not let the perpetrator discover loopholes to cover her true identity, she couldn't bear her enemy's smile any longer, so she made an excuse and went to the rooftop. She picked up a piece of wood and began to hurt herself. At this moment, only pain could keep her awake. However, Yoonjayam saw it. When Lyle realized he was also there, she covered her bloody thigh. And she was much too keyed up to have a tremble. He wondered what he was doing. Lyle said she just cut herself by accident when trying to cut a snagged thread. Yoonjayam knew she told a lie, so he held her back when she turned away. Then he took her to a secret room, her wound revealed under the dress. His eyes looked warm. He treated her wound and said she was the one who needed the tango dance. She needed to be healed. He touched her right cord. She was stunned looking at him. She felt so confused, as she wished he wasn't be her enemy. Regaining her sense, Lyle quickly left there. Again, Yoonjayam held her back. He asked her what she was hiding, wondering why she had so many scars on her legs. Lyle replied, "You don't like to be analyzed by people. Why are you analyzing me now?" And she left the room. At home, she refused to make love with her husband. When he left the bedroom, she sat down on the bed in pain. She recalled what happened 13 years ago. Her husband helped the older man took her father's life. Lyle bet her life on the revenge. The next day, she came to a store of musical instrument to ask the owner when the accordion would be put up for sale. Obviously, she wanted to buy it for Yoonjayam to win his heart. The owner said the rich man named Kang Yoonjayam had paid the deposit of the accordion. At the same time, Yoonjayam also arrived. She went away without saying a word because she knew he would follow her. Indeed, Yoonjayam followed her to ask why she wanted to buy the accordion. Lyle lied that she loved it. Yoonjayam knew that was a lie. He questioned if she was hiding something, and why was she trying to approach him. As he was doubting her, she gave her a kiss to cover his mouth. "Don't think too much. Be honest with me." Lyle was his daughter's dance teacher. Lyle took Dubai home and discovered Yoonjayam's back room. Entering the room, she saw the shelves were full of cash and bars of gold. She wasn't greedy for them. Her father was beaten to death because of a dispute over the company's interests. The company's accounting books were also appropriated and archived at his home. Finally, she found the bribery records on the bookshelf. While reading a list of cash transactions, Yoonjayam came home. She put it back on the shelf and got out of the back room. The automatic door closed slowly and Yoonjayam was coming in. She tried to close the door with all her strength. Fortunately, it closed right before Yoonjayam walked in. Lyle greeted him nervously. He knew she was up to something, but he still told her to leave immediately. Though she failed to find the evidences relevant to her father's death, she found something else. She saw an article on an accident. Yoonjayam was son of a rich family. However, his mother was the housemaid in his dad's home. After giving birth to him, she lost her life in a car accident. Losing her composure while driving home, she drew up at the curb. Couldn't believe that his fate was the same as her. At his home office, Yoonjayam was trying to figure it out. He remembered how tense Lyle was. He saw something unusual and took a book on the shelf. His sense was right. Someone touched it. Perhaps Lyle figured out his background. This secret had a big influence on his right of inheritance. Lyle seemed to have feelings for Yoonjayam after learning the truth. Revenge was no longer the only thing in her mind. In the makeup room before Lyle's tango dance, Yoonjayam came to see her. Lyle closed the curtain and came closer to him. She forgot her hatred. Instead, she was filled with love for the man opposite her. "I won't run away anymore. I just need you." When Lyle lost her mind, Yoonjayam pushed her away. "How dare you across the line?" Yoonjayam was contradicting himself. Actually, he was enamored with her, yet, his mother was only a housemaid in a rich family. Lyle's adopted mother asked if anything was going well. She grew cross when Lyle even failed to ask for his phone number. Lyle was criticized for being unable to conquer a man. That stirred up Lyle's fury. Lyle told her adopted mother not to queen it, as she was the one who got a flirt with the one she didn't love. While her adopted mother stayed in the dark and blamed her, they turned their back against each other in silence. At the dance class, Lyle remembered when Yoonjayam pushed her away last night. She felt extremely uncomfortable, so she turned on the music and started dancing to try to distract her feeling, and she sweat a lot without knowing that Eunpyeong saw everything, looking at Lyle as an adult. He remembered what she suffered during her childhood. He felt how painful she felt at that moment. When Eunpyeong was about to greet her, a round of applause interrupted. That was Soare, Yoonjayam's wife. To impress her own father, Soare invited Eunpyeong to her home party as he was a presidential candidate. Eunpyeong only kept his at Lyle, giving no care to Soare. Soare smiled when seeing the love in his eyes for Lyle. Thus, she also invited Lyle. As Lyle accepted her invitation, Eunpyeong also agreed to join. That night, Lyle drove Soare home. On the yard at Soare's home, she saw a man in blood. This is the outcome of those who confront the top tycoon family in the country. Seeing the schadenfreude they put on the victim, Lyle still remembered how they tortured her father. It was the same as what that man was suffering. Her resentment almost made her cry. At that time, a bodyguard came and took her to a room in the villa. She made an excuse of her burnt hand to get him out. After that, she attached a bugging device under the table. She heard them making a plan on harming Eunpyeong. They intended to invest a sum of money in him, then take advantage of that opportunity to take him down. The bodyguard returned with a first aid kit. Lyle was also capable of avoiding detection. When she was going to leave, she encountered Yoonjayam. She greeted him. However, Yoonjayam still avoided her. Lyle's adopted mother was content when she could bug them. However, she was still upset when Yoonjayam avoided Lyle. Lyle was still confident on her flirting plan. The presidential candidate attended the birthday party of a financier, and his appearance surprised everyone. The humble presidential candidate finally joined the party of the financial oligarchy. It was thanks to Lyle. Like the last time, Yoonjayam couldn't take his eyes off Lyle in a beautiful white. His mind even went blank. He regained his sense when Lyle came to his table. She helped an Italian financier communicate. Yoonjayam noticed that Italian man kissed on her hand. He flied into a temper, yet, he tried to hold back. Lyle introduced the Italian man with his language. She skipped Yoonjayam's brother, who was also the heir. When Sejayam, who was the oldest son of the Kong family, was skipped, his wife, who was a high-ranking person, felt dissatisfied. Soare mocked at her for not being able to speak Italian. They had no clue that it was the first step on Lyle's plan. She did this on purpose to attract her brother's attention. After a long talk, he indeed struck a conversation with Lyle. He placed his hand on her arm. As Lyle didn't react to it, he touched her back and stroked her waist. A distance from there, Yoonjayam saw it all. He tried to make himself look calm, yet, Lyle was well aware that he was jealous, so she continued flirting with Kang Sejayam. She wanted to drive Yoonjayam crazy with jealousy. Soare didn't realize how distracted her husband was. She immersed herself in happiness and even asked him for a gift. Soare's sister-in-law asked her why she invited Lyle to the party. Soare didn't miss the chance to mock at her rival. Their quarrel pissed Yoonjayam off. He stared at Lyle and Sejayam. If a glance could take someone's life, His brother would be ended. As Si-Jiam didn't stop touching her body, Yoon-Jiam left the glass of wine on the table and went straight towards them. He told his brother, "You're drunk." Si-Jiam denied it. Si-Jiam was showing off in front of Lyle. He got angry when Yoon-Jiam interrupted him. Ignoring what Yoon-Jiam said, Si-Jiam held Lyle's wrist and left. Yoon-Jiam shoved Si-Jiam to the ground. Giving no care to people's glances, he took Lyle to an empty corner. He angrily expressed his jealousy. That was what Lyle wanted. She successfully conquered his heart, sowed the seeds of dissension between Yoon-Jiam and Si-Jiam. Next, she played a trick on him. "It's none of your business. At least, your brother wasn't as chicken-hearted as you were. Do you want to drive me insane? Stay together. You and me." Seeing his loving gaze, Lyle gave him a room card and said, "If you want me, I'll give you a chance. Come to find me." Yoon-Jiam completely fell in love with her. In the bedroom, the bodyguard was kissing So-Are's leg. Suddenly, she kicked him off the bed. Because her husband called her to get home when he needed her, she looked at herself in the mirror with a happy mood and saw a hickey on her neck. For that reason, she blamed her bodyguard in anger. He kept his down in silence. She anxiously covered it with cushion. Coming home, she felt sorry for her husband and covered her neck with her hand. No need her husband to ask. She told him her face turned red after having spicy noodles. Yoon-Jiam wished her good night and carried Dabai to her room, and she could sigh with relief. During the death anniversary the previous day, So-Are's father-in-law realized she was under 50 and threatened her. "If you can't give birth to a son, your husband won't be my heir." So-Are was laughed at by her sister-in-law. So-Are had never let herself suffer from anything like that. When Damri was coming near, So-Are dropped a bowl. Damri trembled on the debris and bled. They made a fuss, drawing everyone to come there. She received a severe reprimand from her husband. So-Are knew he was no longer interested in her. Moreover, he didn't touch her for years. It was way too hard for her to get pregnant. If they didn't have a son, they would have lost their power. Eventually, So-Are asked for Lyle's help, with the purpose of revenging on their whole family. Lyle agreed without thinking. This was a good opportunity to sow division between the couple. Lyle suggested So-Are to learn tango. Dancing is about the best thing you can do for your body. You can perform in the coming ceremony of the nursery school. Your husband will fall for your beautiful dance. At her 40s, So-Are didn't want to learn such a hard thing. Lyle tried to persuade her. The following day, So-Are came to learn how to dance tango. Lyle even chose a few handsome partners for So-Are. As So-Are was a lady, she picked none of them at first as she needed to keep her social image. She even jeered at the other two when they were flirting with their partners. However, what Lyle said changed her mind. "If you want to bewitch your husband, accept to train your dance with the guys I chose. Break the order and you'll get what you want." She finally lowered her self-esteem and danced with her partner. After a dance, So-Are looked so bright. Dancing with a handsome guy is interesting. It's hot all over. Seeing So-Are's red face, perhaps she would be able to help her husband be an heir soon. While So-Are was learning to dance, Lyle asked her to throw a tango party. Imagining how her husband would be enchanted by her dance, So-Are agreed without thinking. When she came home, she told her secretary not to reveal it, because she wanted to surprise him. When she heard that Yoon-Jiam prepared a romantic hotel room for her, she was very happy and told her husband that she was looking forward to it. Yoon-Jiam paid no attention to her. Waking up, So-Are walked downstairs. Everything was so different from her imagination. Only the butler and housemaid sang happy birthday to her. Because Yoon-Jiam had left home, So-Are grew cross and threw the birthday cake. However, she still expected for something else on her birthday. When So-Are took her daughter to school, the dean prepared a lunch for her. So-Are gave the dean a smirk. "People in your class aren't good enough to be on the same table with me. I'm in tight schedule." After that, she went to the dance class. Lyle had an appointment with Eun Pyong, so she couldn't attend So-Are's birthday party. In her car, Lyle called the other two mothers, who were So-Are's rivals. They stood So-Are up when Lyle didn't attend the party. So-Are waited in the ballroom and no one came. After half of a day, there was no one appeared. So-Are got out of there in anger and called her secretary. She released her anger on the secretary. The secretary quickly said Yoon-Jiam was waiting for her in the hotel, and she immediately took So-Are there. Yoon-Jiam was waiting for So-Are in the hotel. He remembered what Lyle told him on the other day. That was the only chance she gave her. He finally made a decision, canceling the birthday party. He drove to Lyle's place by himself. He even turned off his phone. Coming to the hotel with the last hope, So-Are realized there was no party for her. Her husband wasn't seen there. So-Are lost her mind when everyone stood her up on her birthday. In another hotel, Lyle in a sleepwear waiting for Yoon-Jiam. Lyle knew he would come for sure. Her sexy eyes attached on his face and her soft hands on his cheek, combined with her alluring aroma, no men could resist her. Lyle stepped in the bathtub with the enemy whom she felt hatred for 13 years. To carry out her plan, she used her body to seduce the enemies, and her plan was going to succeed. She would destroy a rich family. His wife was crying at home, her husband disappeared on her birthday. She called her father to complain about what she suffered for all day long. However, he didn't give a care. Can't you organize a birthday party for yourself at such an age? What else can you do? You're so annoying. Hang up the phone. Soare was abandoned by the whole world. She didn't feel better when crying out loud. Moreover, her crying scared the staff. They couldn't believe that she was treated that way. With a weak flicker of hope, she called Lyle because there was no one else but Lyle could hear her out. She was the only one Soare could believe. Lyle pretended to comfort her. Lyle said if Soare could take over the shopping mall of her father, she could regain her power. Soare was touched. She thought she could turn over. So she promised to let Lyle hold the post of vice chairwoman. What a stupid woman. She was too fool to help her enemy. After a talk with Lyle, she kept calling her husband. He still turned off his phone, because he couldn't pick up the phone. In the bathtub, he was cuddling another woman. Staying with Lyle was what he thirsted for. Sleeping with Yoonjayam was the beginning of her revenge plan. Next, she would help him reach the peak of his business career. Then she would ask him to help her destroy Soare's family. No matter how carefully she prepared for her revenge, she couldn't control her heart. Lyle fondled Yoonjayam's face when he was sound sleeping. At this moment, she wished he wouldn't be her enemy. If only he was her lover, that would be the best. Tricks of fortune. The revenge for her father was carved in her mind. Lyle took her hand off. Soare was stood up all day long. She waited for her husband until 5 a.m. but he wasn't home yet. Failing to control herself, she vented her danger on her secretary. However, the most pitiful person was her husband's secretary. He was slapped by Soare for nothing. Yoonjayam woke up and saw Lyle first. It was the first time he had a sound sleep in the past 5 years. Before leaving, he gave her a new phone, because his wife bugged his phone. More than that, he gave her a necklace valued at millions of dollars. Lyle was very surprised. Coming home, Yoonjayam saw a mess in his house. The housemaids were trembling. He asked his wife before she could pose a question. How many times did I tell you? The housemaids weren't slaves. When do you stop buggering them around? As she kept questioning, he finally said he was fed up with her. Soare couldn't believe what she just heard. The feeling of hurt proved everything. Yoonjayam just came to his room before Soare could ask him more questions. She followed him and realized he would stay in the guest room. I don't want to sleep on the same bed with you. Let's separate the room. Lyle bugged on their whole conversation. She successfully tore them apart. In the next step, she handled her husband who betrayed her dad. She pretended to receive a package. When she read the sender's name, her husband's face changed color, because someone sent it to him under the name of Sunbin's father, so he immediately lied that maybe he received the wrong item. Lyle and her adopted mother knew he would react that way. Their purpose was to rouse a fox from its lair. Indeed, he went to see the accomplice who beat her father to death. Lyle hired a man to spy on him. Lyle bugged on the whole plan of her enemies. This was the evidence to put them in jail. How scary women are when they despair of love. As Yoonjayam no longer wanted to sleep on the same bed with her, Soare smashed all the other rooms. She had no idea that her reliable friend was her husband's mistress. Soare even screamed at her daughter. Dabai was too scared to cry. Call your dad and ask him to go home right away. Lyle acted as a good friend by calling Yoonjayam with Soare's phone. However, Yoonjayam didn't pick up the phone. Right after that, she called him with the secret phone number he gave her. Yoonjayam was very excited. I miss you so much. The past day feels like a year. He came home and saw the mess on the ground. Yoonjayam asked if Lyle was hurt without caring for his wife. Lyle was still of sound mind, so she called Soare. Seeing Yoonjayam, who drove her insane, Soare threw a plate at him. The plate fell to pieces which scattered over a large area. Yoonjayam protected Lyle instead of his daughter. That meant he was totally crazy about her. Smart Lyle quickly pulled him to cover Dabai from the broken pieces. In Soare's bedroom, Lyle comforted her and put sleeping pill into the water. Soare at her 40s was so stupid, she still thought she could take over the project at her father's company and give Lyle the position of vice chairwoman. After a long day of making fuss, Soare fell asleep. Knowing his wife was sound sleeping, he treated the wound on Lyle's face, without being sorry for his wife. Yoonjayam only felt bad for Lyle. He wondered if it left a scar on her face. Lyle continued bewitching Yoonjayam. She made rice for him and performed a tango dance. While he was enjoying it, he was totally captivated by her beautiful hair and graceful postures. Yoonjayam put his arms around her and pulled her against his chest. Perhaps he was struggling with himself, and so did she. She had to revenge, but she was afraid of falling for him. So when she got home, she asked her adopted mother to tune in Yoonjayam and his father-in-law as soon as possible. Let's see how generous a rich woman is. Meeting up with 2 male models for the first time, she gave them each a check of 100 million won, which made these guys frightened out. Soare gave them money to have one night stand with 2 ladies and took photos of them as evidences. And the ladies whom Soare wanted to harm were Damri and Ji-hee. They stood Soare up on her birthday and then gave her gifts as if they were dishonoring her. Unboxing the gifts, Soare's secretary was too scared to drop it, which made everyone else laugh out loud. Damri said, "It was not easy for you to celebrate your birthday alone, so I prepare a gift for you. Women at your age need it more than your husband." As Soare was the president's daughter, she couldn't digest an insult. Casting a blur on their names was just the lightest punishment, because Soare eliminated everyone who was in her way. While talking to Soare, Lyle learned a sensational secret. The one who was married off to Yoonjayam at first wasn't Soare, that was daughter of Lyle's adopted mother. To get rid of her rival in love, Soare just got rid of her. When Soare's family took possession of the company of Lyle's parents, Lyle's mother tried to get back the company and lost her life due to Soare. Lyle went blank in her mind. She expressed her pain in front of Yoonjayam. She really wanted to put Soare's life to an end, yet, it wasn't the right time and she knew it. The pain took over her whole body. She stood in the rain to wash it away. Eun-pyung came there and comforted her. Lyle cried without making a sound. Eun-pyung was aware that she was suffering. He remembered the days she was in anguish. From then on, he was determined. Even though it was at the point of no return, he would bet his political career to help Lyle take her revenge on them. Eun-pyung's assistant said she refused to meet Soare's father on behalf of him. However, Eun-pyung agreed to meet him. To help Lyle revenge, he had to approach her enemies, so he decided to meet. Though Yoonjayam was the richest man in the country, he was still slapped by his father. He knelt down with fear because his mother wasn't a legal wife. His father criticized him for daring to compete with his brother in business. He told Yoonjayam, "Your mother is just a housemaid. You're as low as her." Furthermore, Yoonjayam was forced to renounce the right of succession. Yoonjayam trembled with anger when his mother was dishonored. He completely lost his mind. Lyle collapsed when Soare admitted to take the life of Lyle's mother. Anyways, she still needed to finish her revenge plan. There was no other way but to complete the performance with Soare. In the dressing room, Soare introduced Lyle to her father. Lyle's plan was helpful, so he wanted to recruit her. Seeing Lyle with his bare eyes, he knew he was right. He praised her a lot. Lyle held her hands tight with fear when all of her enemies were there. Nevertheless, she tried to smile. Fortunately, they left after greeting her, so they didn't see her facial expressions. On stage, Lyle in a black suit dancing with Soare. She got a pretty body and perfect mien. The audience gave them a round of applause. Dancing with her enemy, Lyle recalled her father's death. When the dance ended, Lyle went to the backstage before the curtain was dropped, because she really couldn't take it anymore. Going out into the hallway, she tried to suppress her emotions and not. Yoonjayam appeared in front of her. Earlier, he didn't sign on the agreement. When Lyle asked about the red mark on his face, he said he mistook himself with a king, so he wanted to become a true king and crush anyone who trampled him. He would take over the company and become the king, and he wondered if she would stay with him forever and never betray him. Lyle fondled Yoonjayam's face. She promised to stay with him forever. Lyle knew he would be a king who wasn't her enemy. So it was the right time to let Soare know about the confrontation. Your husband was having an affair, because he never kept his eyes on her. Soare remembered his disappearance on her birthday. Although she looked calm, but she was getting furious inside. She cleaned her hands with hot water. Her skin got burnt, but she didn't stop. She told Lyle, "Bring me the evidence if what you said was true. If you lie about my husband, I won't spare you." After Soare left the toilet, Lyle decided to prove it when Soare didn't buy into her. Staying together at night, they discussed about how to help him get more shares. Once again, he was impressed by her talent. Touching Yoonjayam's scar, Lyle seemed to realize that she seemed to be in love with him. Soare heard that her husband wasn't home. She remembered what Lyle told her in the morning. It made her tremble with anger. She ordered the housemaids to bring her the electric heater with a scream. Even though she shivered all over with cold, she still put on lipstick and asked for more electric heater. All the housemaids felt so hot. In the meantime, Yoonjayam was having a warm night with Lyle. The next day, Soare went to see Lyle for the evidence of her husband's affair. Instead of giving her an answer, Lyle lured Soare to visit his company. Yoonjayam was in a meeting. As he was fed up with her, he didn't allow her to get in the meeting room. Soare waited for him in his office. When Soare didn't notice, Lyle saw the brightening powder on Yoonjayam's suit. Lyle told Soare about that. Couldn't believe in her own eyes. She covered her mouth. She felt short of breath. Then she asked Lyle whose that brightening powder was, Soare just needed a name to vent her rage upon. Lyle knew for sure Soare would be like this, because she left her brightening powder on his suit the previous night. Yoonjayam pushed Soare away when she was strangling Lyle, getting way too angry. Soare smashed the tables to pieces. Yoonjayam covered Lyle from the broken pieces. He even felt. When his bodyguard took Soare out, Lyle asked Yoonjayam if he felt hurt. He just gave her an embrace. Lyle's husband saw the chairman hugging her. Earlier, she called him to get there to let him see that it was her revenge on him. At home, he questioned her in anger. What is your relationship with the chairman? Lyle's mother wondered what he was doing. Lyle pushed his hand away from hers. She smirked when seeing the red mark on her hand. Up to now, she no longer pretended to be good in front of him because he just became useless for her plan. Furthermore, Lyle was fed up with him when she succeeded in conquering Yoonjayam's heart. Without pity, she was honest with him. You're no longer the man who can die for me since the moment you got jealous. Love is fool. Though he knew Lyle cuckolded him, he still begged her not to leave him when she was packing it up. His hypocrisy made Lyle burst out laughing. He still pretended if he didn't betray her father, their family wouldn't have lost their company. After figuring out her husband's affair, Soare lost her sense. When she washed her hand, she still saw the powder on her hand. Her bodyguard wondered if she was okay, yet she thought he was mocking at her. This freaked him out. Losing her mind, she asked her father to punish her husband. Her father's henchman interrupted them as Eun-pyong was waiting to see him. To help Lyle, Eun-pyong made a choice to take bribe, and agreed to participate in the old chairman's money laundering project. After her own father refused to help, Soare came to see Lyle for a hand. Lyle gave her an information on one of the mothers at the nursery school. And the limited edition bag in the woman's hand was actually a gift from Yoonjayam. Eun-pyong and Lyle encountered each other in the lobby. They came to Eun-pyong's home after leaving the villa. He prepared a meal for her. She asked him why he violated the law just because of her. Eun-pyong said he didn't have a family. It was her dad who sponsored him and changed his life after her father's death. He seemed to be her only kindred, so he just wanted to help, no matter what it cost. Lyle felt fully touched by him. The following day, Soare came to the nursery school. She saw two mothers were dancing with their partners. Soare felt tense when seeing the handbag of one of the mothers. The closer Soare came towards the mother, the more scary the mother got. Soare's head was spinning when she saw the mother's brightening powder. While Soare was wondering who was her husband's mistress, Lyle called her. Lyle told her that Yoonjayam bought a car for a woman, attached with a photo as an evidence. That was a trap set by Lyle. Hanging up the phone, Lyle smiled with satisfaction. Yoonjayam sent a bodyguard to protect Lyle, plus a luxury car. After calling the bodyguard to come pick her up at home, Lyle shared the position of the car with Soare. Right after that, Soare ordered her bodyguard to drive her there. Speeding up, her bodyguard caught up with the car. Bodyguard chased after her. Lyle's bodyguard didn't let them catch him up easily. It caused a thrilling car race on the streets. Soare urged her bodyguard to drive faster and faster to follow close behind the mistress. Soare couldn't see who was on the car through the black window. Going out of mind, Soare required her bodyguard to hit the white car. Due to the collision, two cars stopped in the middle of the road. Ignoring her own headache, Soare got out of her car and tried to open the white car's door. However, the driver was the company's female bodyguard. Soare was spoofed, but before she could do anything, the police was coming. She fled. After leaving home, Lyle stayed in her surveillance room. And she felt really sorry for her little daughter. For the past few days, she became too exhausted, falling into a doze. Lyle had a freaky nightmare. She woke up in tears. For the last years, she had been living a tiring life. Yoonjayam heard about what happened from the bodyguard. As Lyle didn't need a bodyguard, Yoonjayam flared up and booed her out. Getting worried, he went the hideaway to find Lyle. And he texted her because she wasn't there. Lyle felt uncomfortable when seeing his message. She actually saved her love for Yoonjayam, but her revenge kept her from staying with him. A lady of a financier hit and run was on all the news. It became sensational thanks to the media. The incident caused a big trouble to her whole family. Everyone had their own motives and a fear of getting involved in a conspiracy at this time. Yoonjayam asked why Soare caused such a big problem, yet Soare asked him back who was his mistress. Yoonjayam claimed that he didn't have an affair. Soare's sixth sense wasn't a joke. She could tell he was lying, as he didn't admit it. Soare accepted to go to the police station for the investigation, and she appeared at the police station as a lady of the top financier in Korea. The head of the police station showed deep respect for her. First of all, he apologized for demanding her to come in person. Under the pressure of the public, he had to carry out an investigation. When he asked Soare about the collision, she said someone stole her car. She showed them a photo of the car's key which Lyle sent to her, and claimed that these two cars were both hers. Taking the chance, she asked the police to find out who was in the white car. The cunning vice chairman was surprised. Her plan was one shot, 2 kills. Yoon had to make a move to protect Lyle from them. He ordered his secretary to hide the white car and sent the female bodyguard abroad. As the schemer, Lyle wasn't panic at all. Eun called Lyle and said, "No matter what decision you make, I will support you unconditionally." Lyle asked if she lost her sense and did cruel things. Eun told her to do whatever she wanted. Soare received a phone call from the police about the driver. Even though the female bodyguard was tortured, she kept her mouth close tight. When the bodyguard passed out, Soare checked on her phone. The car GPS tracker was set for a VIP, who was her husband's mistress for sure. Soare called the VIP and asked who she was. "How dare you have an affair with my husband?" Instead of speaking to Soare, Lyle replied with a message, "I'll meet you at noon tomorrow," as long as her bodyguard is free. The following day was the birthday of Soare's daughter. The media staff gathered at the nursery school. Soare kept looking at the clock on the wall when the journalists took photos of her. She arranged many men to watch around the school, catch the little boy. At this time, his appearance, Yoonjam's appearance, attracted everyone's attention. They pretended to be happy together in front of the public. After Yoonjam's speech, everyone was singing happy birthday song. Soare looked at the clock and it was already at noon. Lyle showed up, with a necklace valued at millions of won given by Yoonjam. Her cold face and green mini dress impressed everyone there. Not until when he put a smile on her face, a lady greeted her. Lyle looked at Yoonjam straight in the eyes. Soare asked her secretary if any stranger appeared. She didn't realize that Lyle, who was her best friend, became her husband's mistress. Lyle even asked Soare if she found the mistress. Soare said the mistress was as timid as a rabbit. Lyle inclined her head towards Soare and changed her tone. "Who said I got scared and hid? I'm right in front of you." Soare wondered what she was saying. Lyle showed off the necklace that Yoonjam gave her. Soare was so shocked. Then she looked at Yoonjam to confirm it. Yoonjam didn't know that Lyle was telling Soare about them. The bitter truth gave Soare a tremble all over. She asked Lyle once again, "Is that you?" Lyle revealed that Soare's birthday was their first night. Soare remembered on that day, her husband stayed overnight, which drove her crazy. Lyle added fuel to the fire when Soare was going to lose her mind. "Your husband is so sexy." Soare completely lost her mind. The surroundings of journalists suppressed her anger. After Lyle passed by the kids, Yoonjam followed and held her hand. All of a sudden, Lyle wanted to break up with him, because Soare already found out their affair. Yoonjam turned around and saw Soare's gaze. After the party ended, Soare followed Lyle to the gate and threatened to get rid of her. "I will crush your heart into 1,000 pieces." Lyle had a contempt for Soare's threatening. "Have you ever wondered why you're suffering such a misfortune?" Soare felt empty in her mind due to Lyle's strong temperament, despite being Yoonjam's legal wife. She couldn't fire back. Lyle promised to be easy on Soare if she could find the answer. In the car with her husband, Soare said she would ask her dad to eliminate Lyle. Since Yoonjam was stuck on Lyle, he threatened his wife, "If you dare to touch her, I won't spare you." Soare was completely devastated by his words. She couldn't believe that he considered their 5-year marriage nothing just because of a woman he met for 3 months. Before entering home, she gave him a glance full of resentment. Without knowing that he was up to something bigger, giving a pitch on TV, Yoonjam announced the company that he held all the shares was listed. Yoonjam's father and father-in-law couldn't stay still. They were well aware that Yoonjam would overthrow who had trembled on him. Together, they came to Yoonjam's company, yet the bodyguard stopped them, and they turned to criticize each other for that, resulting in a dispute and fight. 2 old men who were the top financiers in South Korea fought each other in front of people. Since Soare didn't free her bodyguard, Lyle asked Eun for help. Lyle took care of her bodyguard in the hospital. The bodyguard didn't betray her despite being tortured. Who would be Lyle's right-hand woman? Yoonjam was attending a party at his company, meeting up with his staff for a while. Yoonjam left the party to see Lyle even for a while because he missed her like crazy. Notwithstanding, Lyle still refused to meet him, because she was ready for a bigger plan. Preying on both Yoonjam's and Soare's mind, people lose their minds when being pushed to the utmost limits of endurance. Yoonjam returned home when he couldn't see Lyle. Lyle sent him a gift. It was an accordion. It made him miss her even more. She finally came to see him when he missed her like crazy. He hugged her tight and begged her not to break up with him. A chairwoman lowered himself to beg her. Before Yoonjam lost himself, Lyle's husband came and saw them. They almost fought because of Lyle. Actually, it was Lyle's plan who led her husband there. Her goal was to provoke Yoonjam's possessiveness, resulting in a divorce. Yoonjam said, "I don't want to break up with Lyle. You're her legal husband, so you just need to divorce her." He then ordered his bodyguard to bring Lyle's husband out of there. When Lyle said Soare had known about them and she wanted Lyle to stay away from Yoonjam, Yoonjam promised to handle Soare. Lyle said she would wait and left. Yoonjayam stood there all alone. Coming home, Lyle's husband threw her stuff away. These were the dresses she wore when seeing Yoonjayam. He got angrier when seeing the limited high-end necklace that Yoonjayam gave her. Losing his sense, he swore not to spare Yoonjayam. Lyle smiled with content when he left. Lyle's adopted mother warned her that their plan was almost oozed out if her identity was discovered. Yoonjayam wouldn't divorce So-ra, then she will never be able to take revenge. Lyle looked so confident, yet she had a nightmare right after that. She dreamt of a fall in hell. In the fog, she saw herself eliminating the enemy with her own hands. Her fear of the bloody hands woke her up. Eun-pyung called her at that moment. He heard that Lyle let So-ra know about her affair with Yoonjayam. For this reason, he was worried that she would be harmed. The dean and other mothers threw a party for So-ra to fawn upon her after her husband's company was listed. Lyle was so surprised when So-ra was enjoying the party. To clarify her suspicions, Lyle went to the meeting room. So-ra looked at Lyle with eyes full of hate and said, "It seems like there is an uninvited guest. Secretary Kim. Take her out." Lyle didn't obey, because she didn't know why So-ra was that confident. Everyone wondered what was going on. Why did a couple of best friends turn their back upon each other? All of them were astonished when So-ra slapped Lyle, once and twice, seemed not angry. Lyle asked why So-ra was that furious. Lyle was trying to rouse So-ra to talk about her affair with Yoonjayam. So-ra did not dare. She just told everyone that she had a conflict with Lyle during the party. Lyle smirked at her before leaving. She knew So-ra would come to see her. Indeed, So-ra asked Lyle for a talk after the party. She told Lyle that Yoonjayam apologized to her the previous night, giving rise to a love-making. Thanks to Lyle, she could take over the shopping mall project. Lyle was disappointed when everything didn't go her way. It was even more surprising when Yoonjayam appeared and let So-ra held his arm. They seemed not to be on the edge at all. Lyle looked at Yoonjayam with surprise and he just walked away arm in arm with So-ra. This made Lyle confused and a little bit hopeless. At home, she and Eun-pyung watched Yoonjayam and So-ra during a press conference on TV. Eun-pyung thought everything was out of control. Those who confronted So-ra were handled in a strange way. Thus, Eun-pyung wished Lyle would put aside her revenge and live in seclusion for her own safety. Lyle wasn't scared at all. If she was in danger, she hoped Eun-pyung would take care of her adopted mother. Eun-pyung felt the prick when Lyle was consumed with hatred. Eventually, he spat out what he tried so not to show: "I love you." Lyle couldn't give him an answer. No need for her answer. Eun-pyung still tried hard to help her at all cost, as long as she was safe, and he were always ready to be all ears if she needed to pour her heart out, as he hoped she wouldn't endure it all alone. When she finished her revenge plan, he would confess his love to her again. However, her adopted mother stabbed behind Lyle's back. She told Yoonjayam that Lyle was daughter of her former enemy. Eun-pyung figured it out. On the way to work, Yoonjayam saw a man trying to approach Yoonjayam. That man was one of the victims 3 years ago. There must be a reason why he was following after Yoonjayam. Eun-pyung saw him giving Yoonjayam an, so he found a way to keep Yoonjayam from reading the document. He asked Yoonjayam out for a drink. Eun-pyung gave Yoonjayam a record of a new project. He told Lyle to distract Yoonjayam. It bought him time to exchange the files. Picking up Lyle's phone, Yoonjayam explained why he didn't smile at Lyle that day at the nursery school, and he had to stay away from any scandal after his company was listed. Nevertheless, he still wanted to see her at a hotel. Lyle remembered what So-ra said. He just wanted to gratify his lust. That doesn't mean it can end our relationship. When Lyle was full of contradictions, her adopted mother warned her not to ruin her plan that they had prepared for 13 years. Eun-pyung called Lyle when he succeeded in exchange the files. Lyle was so shocked when it was attached with the photos of her childhood and information on her true identity. If Yoonjayam figured it out, she would have lost her life. Eun-pyung said those who had these was none other than her adopted mother. Lyle almost went crazy. Everything was turning sour and the one whom she trusted most betrayed her. Perhaps it was because she expressed her feelings for Yoonjayam to her adopted mother. However, she had been corrupted. In the dark room, Lyle quietly waited for her adopted mother and gave her a drastic warning. "I sacrificed myself for this revenge plan. My hands are full of blood. I also don't care about getting rid of anyone who are in my way. If there are people who get in my way, I will end their lives." Her adopted mother was stunned with fear. She couldn't believe that Lyle had turned into a monster. About So-ra, her father's call scared her, so she rejected it. She was even breathing heavily when his father's henchman called. It was because her husband founded a company without letting them know. That meant he was trying to overthrow his father-in-law. Flying into a rage, Han Panaro ran after his own daughter. She was too scared to open the door. However, she couldn't run away from him, so he followed him home. He gripped her hair, shoved her to the ground and blamed her for failing to control her husband. More than that, he wanted to lock her in the room underground. So-ra remembered her childhood when she came to the room underground. She saw her mother was beaten to death by her father. Being obsessed with that, Soare thought he would take her life, so she knelt down and begged for his mercy. Her father's henchmen helped her out of danger. Lyle bugged everything what just happened. Their relationship surprised Lyle. Soare wanted to put Yoonjayam's life to an end after for what she had suffered. He gave her so much pain, and she remembered the loving look he gave Lyle at the nursery school. Pointing the knife at Yoonjayam, but she could not stab him, because she loved him too much. To release her anger, she found Lyle the following day. She also asked two mothers to come there and told them it was Lyle who exchanged the backpacks of their kids, that was the cause of their conflict. Soare was trying to isolate Lyle. She also asked the dean to expel Lyle's daughter from school. It was Soare's revenge on Lyle. Lyle burst out laughing, which was scary. She claimed the one whom would be expelled was Soare, and turned on the music for a dance. Soare realized that her husband listened to that song when making love to her. Flying into a rage, she wondered if Lyle was crazy. Lyle burst out laughing again. She derided Soare as a dog with rabies. Soare wanted to give her a slap, but Lyle could block her. When Soare's bodyguard was about to slap her for Soare, she said there were many cameras. As Soare couldn't wreak her fury on Lyle, she left the studio with her bodyguards. Trying to calm herself down, she called Yoonjayam, but she cancelled it right away. He called her back within 3 seconds. Lyle smiled wryly. He was over head and ears in love with her. She asked to see him at a hotel, since she decided not to run away from him. Earlier, she avoided him to keep herself from falling for him. All of these weren't important anymore. Whether it was his love or lust, she no longer cared. She only wanted to destroy Soare's life. At the company's recent opening party, the couple invited the Italian chairman. When Soare was appointed as the representative, the upper class gave her warm applause. It was the first time Soare enjoyed the recognition in her life. Despite Soare's plea, Yoonjayam still insisted on divorcing her. He even felt sick when she touched him. Yoonjayam packed it up and left, which broke Soare down. She tore his suit apart with a pair of scissors. For the past years, Lyle had lived with her hatred. She remembered asking her father how to make a choice when you're still wondering. He told her to listen to her heart. When Lyle made her own decision, she spat it out. However, the hatred still dominated her heart. Her good and bad characters were fighting. The chaotic inside demoralized her, and she passed out. Her adopted mother saw it. Looking at wound Lyle gave herself. Her adopted mother said, "I've always complained about your feeling of love. I didn't know that you tried your best to give up on it. From now on, follow your heart, even if you truly love your enemy. I will not blame you." Lyle felt uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Soare was trying every way to revenge on Lyle. She threatened two mothers with the footage of their affairs. Soare asked them to use their power and kick up a love scandal about Lyle. Soon after, Lyle's scandal was all over on the internet. Eun-pyung was very worried about her. Once it went too far, her true identity would be exposed to Yoonjayam. Staying with Yoonjayam, Lyle was very calm. He told her when they strolled along the beach, "We can live abroad to stay away from the disturbance. I'm willing to give up on my position and money." Lyle smiled at his naive thought. He seemed not to be a chairman. Yoonjayam knew something was wrong, because a woman would agree to stay with her lover in peace. Lyle was opposite. Obviously, she was keeping something from him. Yoonjayam removed the bandage on her arm. Seeing her wound, he felt a pain. He begged her to tell him the truth or else they couldn't be happy. Lyle's adopted mother came to tell Eun-pyung, after her father's death, she had suffered from phobic disorders. It seemed that she was out of it in the recent years. Lately, her disease recurred. Previously, she hurt herself when she suffered a complete mental collapse. That was related to Yoonjayam for sure. If she was torn between hatred and love, she might have taken her own life. Eun-pyung felt panicked. Immediately, he went to the villa where Lyle was staying with Eun-pyung. He asked Lyle if she really loved her enemy. Lyle didn't think it was a matter. Eun-pyung was too nervous to grow cross. "You almost ended your own life before. If you don't want me to worry, give up your feelings for him. I cannot stay away from this, neither let you do a bunk with him. I'm going crazy for you." He said all those with anger as he loved her too much. After he left, she walked like a lost soul. A man in black came out of nowhere. He was Soare's bodyguard. He came there to take her life. Eun-pyung came back to save her, and fought against the men in black with a bat. Soare's bodyguard remembered her words, "Bring her to me." It's okay to end her life though. He pointed a knife at Lyle. Eun-pyung covered her with his own body. The bodyguard ran away after he stabbed the presidential candidate. Soare screamed when hearing the news, "You guys are idiots." Even though she was daughter of a former president, she would still be in jail once she attacked a presidential candidate. Thus, she ordered her bodyguard to hear about Eun-pyung's state. As soon as hearing about the attack, Yoonjayam came straight to Lyle's place. He saw blood on her dress, yet, he could sigh with relief as she wasn't hurt. Next, He asked her who did this and if she saw the attacker's face. Lyle replied, "What if I saw his face? Will your wife stop trying to end my life?" Yoonjayam knew if he wouldn't divorce Soare, she wouldn't let Lyle alone. The following day, he took Lyle to the company and announced that she would be the CEO. During the meeting, hearing her professional pitch, Yoonjayam looked so proud. At Han Panaro's villa, he was extremely shocked watching TV. The news gave him difficulty in breath. He immediately sent a lawyer to handle the divorce between Yoonjayam and Soare, and asked for a compensation of 10 billion won. Plus all the shares that Yoonjayam held. Their reason why that Yoonjayam scandal caused a big trouble to the company. Meanwhile, Soare didn't want to give up on her marriage. Watching about her divorce on the news, she wondered who did this. After that, she came to her father's villa and said she didn't want to divorce Yoonjayam. He screamed at her for waking him up at midnight for that. He no longer needed you. Why don't you let him go? Soare didn't listen to him. She shouted, "It'll be fine if I can get rid of Lyle." Panaro slapped his daughter. The whole country just heard about their three-way relationship. If Soare did something to Lyle, everything that she did in the past might have been exposed. Eunpyeong woke up in the hospital. He finally got that love doesn't mean to have someone he loves. He held Lyle's hand and said, "If you really love Yoonjayam, muster up the courage to continue. I won't stop you anymore." Lyle felt very sorry for him. People around her suffered a lot to help her revenge. She shouldn't have loved her enemy. For this reason, she pulled herself together and started to revenge on Soare. She went to Yoonjayam's villa and kicked Soare out. Noble Soare looked so pitiful in such a situation. From then on, the villa's hostess would be Lyle. After that, Soare came to Yoonjayam's office to beg him for changing his mind. Also, she reminded him of their happy time, because she still believed that Yoonjayam didn't really love Lyle, that he would be fed of her soon. Yoonjayam didn't think so. Their marriage was just a business. Staying with Lyle, he finally knew what love was. When Yoonjayam stood up, she saw the ring on his finger. She knew it was completely hopeless. Soare was at the end of her rope, being alone in the room, but she heard Lyle's laughter. Lyle entered Yoonjayam's back room. She found a bloody file of documents on the shelf. Her father's fingerprint was on the contract. It made her cry out loud. Her father lost his life because he refused to transfer his shares. Yoonjayam was behind her when she felt too distressing. "What are you doing?" His question stunned Lyle. At this time, the atmosphere was so tense, they both could hear Lyle's heartbeat. If she couldn't give him a good reason, her revenge plan would be broken. Yoonjayam raised doubts when seeing the document in her hands. He slowly came closer to Lyle. Fortunately, Dabai appeared and interrupted them. Yoonjayam carried Dabai out. Lyle slumped with a sigh of relief. In the hospital, Eunpyeong was nervous when she was caught. However, Lyle believed that Yoonjayam didn't doubt her. A bigger trouble was awaiting her came from Soare. Soare inquired into Lyle's antecedents, and found out that Lyle was just an adopted child. Hearing her adopted mother's name, Soare felt something wrong. That sound very familiar. She finally remembered it. She was mother of Yoonjayam's first fiancé, whom was eliminated by Soare, and then she adopted Lyle. They must have shared a secret together. Therefore, she ordered her bodyguard to break into Jang Mun's house at night, and kidnapped her to a warehouse. Soare told Jang Mun how her took the life of Jang's daughter. Jang's facial expression let her know she was right. Next, she asked what her relationship was with Lyle, and who Lyle really was. Jang Mun spat in Soare's face, yet, Soare burst out laughing, ordering her bodyguard to torture Jang. Since when Yoonjayam saw Lyle in his back room, he had doubts about her, so he asked her for a talk at night, trying to make her let him know what she was trying to hide. Lyle insisted that she had nothing to keep from him. Yoonjayam said, "I love but like crazy, but I'm not a fool. You'd better not let me find out about that shady thing." Soare was trying on a few dresses. She looked so confident going to the villa where Yoonjayam and Lyle were living. Soare laughed at Lyle when she acted like a lady. When Soare called the name Sunbin, Lyle couldn't put a smile on her face. That meant Soare knew who Lyle really was. Seeing Lyle in a state of panic, Soare laughed out loud. After that, she found Yoonjayam to tell him about Lyle. However, he blamed Soare for being way too barefaced, and asked her to leave right away. Soare smirked and claimed that he would thank her. Moreover, she also asked Lyle to come. Soare showed Yoonjayam photos of a teenage girl. Lyle was filled with concern. She didn't know Yoonjayam loved her that much. Despite all those evidences, he ordered his bodyguard to take Soare out. Nevertheless, Soare confidently spoke to Yoonjayam before leaving, "You won't divorce me after reading this document." After that, Lyle and Yoonjayam enjoyed a meal together. Though he didn't pose even a question, Lyle couldn't breathe due to the tense atmosphere. She spoke to cover herself that she changed her name when her mother remarried after her father's death. Yoonjayam wondered if it was really everything about her. Lyle felt so suffocated and dizzy. Trying to calm herself down, Lyle looked straight into his eyes to protect her long-term plan, and posed a question to him. "Are you doubting me?" Yoonjayam tore the document into pieces. He wouldn't try to make her speak when she didn't want, because he didn't care about her past when their relationship just began. They left the restaurant after the meal. Lyle sighed with relief when Yoonjayam got in the car. She asked her bodyguard to take away the torn document on the table. Soare knew they would sue her. Furthermore, she found out about the true identity of Lyle's adopted mother. Lyle called Eun-pyung since she thought her adopted mother might be in danger. Yoonjayam was observing her from afar. The following day, Lyle went to her adopted mother's place. She didn't see her mother anywhere, only a mess. Furthermore, her phone was off. Lyle knew for sure that Soare did this. Shortly afterwards, she went to the hospital to tell Eun-pyung about that. Eun-pyung wanted to keep her safe, so he decided to leave the hospital even though the wound had not yet healed. Yoonjayam followed after Lyle when she was going to Soare's place. Eun-pyung saw it and distracted Yoonjayam. Eun-pyung told Yoonjayam that his wife's family would be punished. "If you don't want to be involved, then get a divorce quickly." Yoonjayam claimed that he loved Lyle tremendously. Eun-pyung didn't appreciate it because his love for her was enormous. In the meantime, Lyle was seeing Soare to save her adopted mother. Basically, Soare didn't want to negotiate. She wondered if Yoonjayam just kicked her out of his home. As a result, Soare's smile disappeared when Lyle said, "Are you sure he won't divorce you after knowing your affair with your bodyguard?" Soare got scared. If Yoonjayam knew about her affair, she would lost. Lyle continued before Soare could pull herself together. "Release my mother before midnight. I'll leave Yoonjayam and give your position back." After that, Lyle immediately moved out. Since Yoonjayam was doubting her, she had to sue them quickly. The illegal contract was in Yoonjayam's safe. She cleverly opened the secret room. Jong Chul went to the court to stop Lyle, but he couldn't do anything because there were too many journalists. From afar, Lyle saw the one who put her dad's life to an end. She still remembered his smile at the hospital after getting rid of her father. Lyle smiled at him the same. Leaving the court after handing over the evidences, she saw him reporting it to Han Panaro. She had a down on him. She beeped the Han to interrupt his conversation. Seeing Lyle in the car, Jong Chul violently came close to her car, and she just started the machine, driving straight towards Jong Chul. He had to jump out of the way. Lyle didn't want to spare him. She reversed her car and ran over his leg. She got out of the car. Jong Chul laid on the road in pain. She remembered how painful her father was, so she stomped on his broken leg. Lyle's husband returned from America. She required him not to call her honey as it made her felt sick, and wait for punishment on betraying the owner of a semiconductor company. Finishing her words, she drove away. Meanwhile, Eun-pyung was having an interview as a presidential candidate. He revealed that Soare's bodyguard attacked him, along with a series of crimes committed by Han Panaro and his family. This shocked everyone. Eun-pyung watched the interview alone in his office. He couldn't tell what would happen to Lyle if she didn't stop, thus, he knelt down and begged for her forgiveness. Lyle said only his death could bury her feud. Releasing her anger, she leaned on the stair railing, breathing heavily. She admitted to take advantage of Yoonjayam so far. Actually, Yoonjayam's sincerity touched her. In the lobby, Yoonjayam encountered Soare. When Soare knew he came there to beg for forgiveness, she talked to him with a loud voice. "Why did you beg for her forgiveness?" Yoonjayam was helpless with his stupid wife. Lyle saw Soare from the above. She recalled the moment Soare admitted to take the life of Lyle's mother. Despite Eun-pyung's prevention, Lyle smashed a vase and picked up a piece to stab Soare. When she came close to them, she heard Yoonjayam, "I have only wish. I want to be a good person to her even though we can't stay together." Lyle was at his feet. She dropped the sharp piece. Eun-pyung gently cleaned her hand and asked her not to listen. She couldn't let him win her over, come what may. Lyle was deep in love with Yoonjayam, but she couldn't stay with him. That was their tragedy. Lyle attend the first court hearing. Yoonjayam also appear in court. Lyle thought he was taking advantage of public pressure to postpone the sentencing. Instead of firing back at the lack of evidences, Yoonjayam offered an out-of-court settlement with her. His lawyer stopped him. A settlement meant an admission of guilt, no more chance to appeal. His action surprised everyone attending the trial. Lyle's heart was melted when he tried to protect her. Watching the news on TV, Soare was jealous of her husband's betrayal. The secretary said it was a bigger problem when Soare was charged with murder. Soare screamed out. She couldn't bear all of those. Alone in the room, she snicked the table with a knife. The next day, Lyle and Yoonjayam saw each other at the court for an amicable settlement. The judge reminded him again that currently Han Panaro, Jong Chul, and Soare did not agree. All the evidences was illegally collected by Lyle and they cannot be testified in court. Once Yoonjayam wanted a settlement, which meant he pleaded guilty. Without demur, he insisted on a settlement. Lyle said, though she faked her identity and illegally collected the evidences, because she had no choice after losing her parents for nothing at her 15, Lyle didn't know what to with Yoonjayam. It was her real love for him, but she couldn't tell him. To keep herself from moments of weakness, she daren't confess her love to him. All the evidences she collected were rejected, so Eun-pyung planned to cause disagreement between among them. The first one would be Yoonjayam. After a settlement between Yoonjayam and Lyle, he took her to place where kept her mother's items. However, the receptionist made an excuse to refuse Lyle's request. Lyle heard that her mother's items were taken by the prosecutors. She knew for sure that someone did this. Hearing so, Eun-pyung came there to ask about it. The manager showed her pitiful face in front of him. She admitted that Han Panaro threatened her to do so. That drove Eun-pyung crazy. If you break the rule because of power, I'll use my power too. On the yard, Lyle saw Yoonjayam wearing their couple ring. She asked why he didn't take it off. Yoonjayam was like, I wear it cause I still love you. I'll take it off when I no longer love you. It didn't mean I stopped loving you when you had a feud with me, right? He said when they danced together. He could feel her heart. Could it be that she didn't love him at all? She said she used the dance for couples who were deep in love to approach him. Their goals weren't the same. Thanks to Eun-pyung's power, Lyle could get back her mother's items. Once again, she saw the photos of her happy family. It evoked her feud, making her burst out crying. Yoonjayam felt so sorry for her. Next, Lyle read her mother's diary. She disappeared to protect Lyle. After Lyle went abroad, she demonstrated alone in front of Yoonjayam's company every day. Yoonjayam ignored her many times. Actually, he knew nothing about them. Her mother wished Sunbin would live well without having a feud. Lyle watched a video recorded when her mother was still alive. Soare's father appropriated the company of Lyle's parents and used it as a dowry for Soare. Their marriage was on the news, which made her mother cry her eyes out and the nurse had to handle her. Yoonjayam then realized he was just a pawn for his own father and Han Panaro. They gave him the company after eliminating Lyle's father. Yoonjayam apologized her in tears, yet, she wished him die. He was willing to die for her if that was what she wanted. The next day, Yoonjayam confessed to the press that all the accusations were true. Han Panaro went insane and went to Yoonjayam's company. The bodyguards didn't allow him to get in. Jang Chul was hospitalized after Lyle ran over his leg. Watching the news, he called Han Panaro. Han Panaro hung up the phone as he was busy with something else. Jang Chul changed his mind about Han Panaro. About Soare, the police came to her home to arrest her. Someone even handed over the recording of her crime to the court. Soare screamed out, wondering who did this to her. Lyle called Soare. Your father will shift all the blame on you to buy him freedom. It was him who gave me the recording. Didn't buy into that. Soare called her bodyguard. He told her it was true. Soare was stunned by that. In fact, Eun-pyung and Lyle successfully won her bodyguard over to their side. After that, he told Han Panaro that Soare handed over the evidences of his crime to the court. As mad as hell, he picked up an axe and went to find Soare. What a coincidence that Soare came there to bring him to book. As they didn't trust each other, they fought as soon as seeing one another. The bodyguard knocked Han Panaro senseless from behind to save Soare. I won't end up the same as my mother. I'm no longer the weak girl who can't fight you back. He begged Soare to release him. He could never imagine that he was locked in the cage he built to torture people. Soare asked everyone to leave her villa, including the one who had an affair with her. Next, she would revenge on Lyle. After the press conference, Yoonjayam turned off his phone and disappeared. His secretary found the will in Yoonjayam's computer. He gave it to Eun-pyung and Lyle. She couldn't believe it. Yoonjayam resigned as president and would leave the world to atone for those who had been hurt by him. Lyle remembered that it was her who told him to die, as Eun-pyung was there. Lyle pretended to be good. Actually, she really cared about Yoonjayam's safe. She woke up in a cold sweat about her nightmare. Yoonjayam's secretary called to tell Lyle that before his disappearance, he transferred all his shares to Lyle and left his personal assets to his daughter. Lyle lost her calmness. She was afraid that Yoonjayam would end his own life. She got out of home at night to find him. Eventually, he found him in the church where he asked for her hand. Seeing him safe and alive, Lyle couldn't ignore her heart any longer. I'm scared that you hurt yourself. What I said earlier wasn't what I really wanted. I shouldn't have said so. Yoonjayam was overcharged with emotion. He hugged her tight. Their love faded the hatred. With her determination to revenge on Lyle, Soare put on a thick makeup. Here secretary shared the location of Yoonjayam and Lyle with Soare. Hanging up the phone, Soare opened a black box and picked up a gun. She was going to take someone's life. Jang Chul with his broken leg went there to find Han Panaro. Soare wanted to end her own father's life. She lied to Jang Chul that her father fled away with all his money, leaving only 2 bars of gold. Moreover, she even persuaded Jang Chul to help her get rid of Lyle. Jang Chul agreed and went to Lyle's place with Soare. staying with Yoonjayam. Lyle let her guard down. Yoonjayam was happy with that. They were happy together without sensing the coming danger. Eun-pyung heard that Soare was finding Lyle. Sensing the danger, he immediately drove to her place. Soare and Jang Chul were speeding up with their rage. Lyle was sleeping in Yoonjayam's arm. The nightmare woke her up again. She dreamt of Yoonjayam's death. He comforted Lyle. "That's just a dream, I'm right here with you." Lyle worriedly held his hand and asked him not to end his own life. He was curious about her dream. She said, "It's better if my feud can disappear. I want to live a simple life." "What about yours?" He wants to live a simple life with the woman he loves. It sounds simple but way too expensive for them. At this time, Jang Chul arrived at the villa. He took painkillers and swore to tear her apart for turning him into a lame man. Holding an axe in his hand, he went straight to the villa. He called Soare to lure Yoonjayam out. She got him. Next, she asked someone to call Yoonjayam with Dabai's phone and ended it right away. Soare lied to Yoonjayam that Dabai disappeared. He came out of the villa to find his daughter in the rain. Turning around, he saw a black all over the villa. It was obviously Soare's trick, so that he came back inside. Jang Chul already broke into the villa with an axe. Lyle tried to keep a distance from him, avoiding his attack. Lyle held a statue to wham his broken leg. "I'll let you feel the real pain." She kept whamming his leg. However, he knocked her down with a lamp. Lyle struggled when he strangled her neck. Luckily, Yoonjayam came back to save her life. Couldn't control himself when Lyle got hurt. Yoonjayam strangled Jang Chul. He couldn't stop despite Jang Chul's entreaty. Lyle tried to stop him, but it was too late. Jang Chul stopped breathing. Seeing his bloody hands, Yoonjayam realized he committed a crime. Han Soare waited for so long outside, she couldn't reach him on the phone, pulling himself together. Yoonjayam wished she would live a good life. He would turn himself in and protect her from this. Lyle didn't agree with that. She also wanted to tune herself in. Suddenly, she felt dizzy and asleep. Yoonjayam was ready to take all the responsibilities. Earlier, he mixed some dope into her water. Early in the morning, Eun-pyung arrived at the villa. Yoonjayam explained what happened to him. Eun-pyung could use his power to defend Yoonjayam. While they were outside, Soare broke in and kidnapped Lyle. It was late when they came inside the villa. After checking the camera, Yoonjayam followed after Soare. The married couple had a car race on the road. Soare was out of her mind, no longer listened to her husband. She kept speeding up. Lyle woke up when the dope wore off. She untied herself and strangled Soare's neck from behind. Soare rolled her eyes, losing the control of the car. The car hit the side of the road. Soare stabbed Lyle's stomach with a knife. Lyle laughed at her like crazy. "No matter what you do, you can never beat me, because you have never been loved." Soare completely lost her mind. Yoonjayam held the blade with his bare hand. He tried to stop his crazy wife. Eun-pyung carried Lyle out of the car. Yoonjayam locked the car. Soare shouted in frustration, trying to end Lyle's life. And Yoonjayam kept saying sorry. Soare stopped screaming when she felt something bad happening. "I'm really sorry." Yoonjayam looked at Lyle and remembered what she said the previous night. He made up his mind. If he and Soare was still alive, Lyle's wish would have never come true. He started the machine and drove ahead. Lyle knew what he was going to do. Giving no care to her wound, she ran after him and begged him not to do it. Her appeal couldn't stop Yoonjayam. Before his death, he touched the couple ring with Lyle. It was the only way to redeem his mistake. Lyle screamed in pain until she passed out when seeing her lover took his own life. In the hospital, Lyle had a dream. In her dream, she saw herself in a field of buckwheat flowers. She smelled the flowers and enjoyed the birds singing. No longer nightmare. That meant her hatred was buried. Eun-pyung woke her up and said she slept for 4 days. Lyle asked about Yoonjayam. She felt breaking down when Eun-pyung said the cremated Yoonjayam's body. Yoonjayam's father felt sorry for him. Holding Yoonjayam's memorial photo in tears, he blamed himself for not being a good father. His eldest son insulted his late brother for giving Lyle all his shares. Sejayam screamed at his father. His father beat him up. A few days later, Lyle and Eun-pyung visited Soare. Why was an evil like Soare still alive? However, she was mentally ill. She hugged a wrapped towel and mumbled, "Honey, look at our baby," doctor said. She is suffering from schizophrenia. Furthermore, she also suffers from selective amnesia and forgets those painful memories. This is the proof of self-protection. If she remembers that memory, she will be too painful to take her own life. Lyle went close to Soare, yet, Soare no longer recognized her. Lyle had no intention to forgive her. She let Soare see herself in a mirror. "What's wrong with my face? Who did this to me?" Lyle gloated over Soare's misery. "You took the life of the man I love. And now you even forgot all these. It's too easy on you." Lyle reminded Soare of what she had done. Until Soare remembered it all, Lyle felt assured and left. Under the ground, Han Panaro died of hunger when his daughter locked him there. his body was discovered half of a month after his death. He died without closing his eyes. Before he died, he left a deep mark on the ground. 3 out of 4 defendants died and the only one alive was Soare, who could not appear in court due to mental illness. Therefore, only the bodyguard always appeared in court. He was also aware of his mistakes and admitted the crimes of Han Panaro's family in tears. Lyle's 13 years of revenge ended.